Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Welcome all. On behalf of the Faculty of Arts, I would like to welcome both of you, the people present in this conference room, as well as people present in online session, and it's a great honor for us for the Faculty of Arts, Comenius University, to be a project partner in this wonderful, promising research project. And also we are very honored to welcome you here in Bratislava, all of you who travel from all different countries from Europe, and also our students and dear guests. I have to apologize because our dean, who's supposed to be here in this place, has a sudden change in his program. But me, as a Vice Dean of International Relations at this faculty, I would like to welcome you all. And now I would pass the floor to Christian for his opening remarks as well.
Thank you very much. Good morning. We are here at the first meeting of a new European research project. This is called, according to the football language, kick-off meeting. So we're not kicking off the ball, but we're kicking off the meeting. That's the European Commission language. So the first meeting when you start a project is to kick it off into the playing field. This project is funded by the European Union, and it's about trust. Trust in Europe, trust in European democracies. And we are very honored and pleased that the University of Bratislava is the host of this meeting, and as you can see, they provided a true, elegant and raw atmosphere for you to have a nice feeling when we begin. We hope we can keep the quality of the surroundings at such a high level, but it will be difficult to do that. So, what are we doing and who are we? First of all, our project starts now, and it runs for 3 years. So it's a 3-year grant. We got a little bit less than 3 million euros from the European Commission to support our research. And this happens sometimes because if you ask a little bit more than 3 million, then you don't get the grant. So that's why we had, like in a shoe shop, shoes for 19.99 euros, and so we got 2.97 million, which is quite reasonable for a social science project. This is the good news. The bad news is now we have to work a lot. So if you don't get a grant, you can relax and say, oh, what a pity, I didn't get the grant, the competition was stronger. So the winner takes it, but the winner also has to deliver. So that's why today and tomorrow we talk about the work, the vision of work, what we have to do. So we have, the European Union calls these units work packages. So we have 12 packages. 8 of them are research, pure research, applied research. 2 packages are about policy, how our research on democracy is influencing European policy, national policy in Slovakia, in Germany, in Sweden, but also regional policy. One work package is about dissemination. Today is dissemination. We are sitting here, we are talking about us. So today we are disseminators and communicators. This is package, this one. And one is management, which you don't see. Management is about money, salaries, travel costs, hotel costs, and of course research costs. We are a true international European team. We have 12 partners from 12 countries. 11 of our partners are members of the European Union, as you all know. And one is Ukraine. Ukraine, as you know, is a candidate for the European Union. And we included it also to support research in this country. We are now kicking off the game, but the game is not 11 people or 12 people, it's 60 people or even more. So it's a big team. You are here, you can see here mostly the leaders of the team. We have 12 national leaders, but you see also some of the teams who are here in presence. But it's a big effort of 60 social science researchers in political science, sociology, etc. We have, the European Union says we have to deliver, and they give us the money only if we deliver. We have to deliver 44 things. So if we don't deliver all 44 things, the European Union will cut our budget. But I'm sure we have this strong coordination team. We will manage to deliver all our deliverables. We are creating databases on elections, on turnout. This will be a very interesting study to develop a database which is online. So we don't not only collect a lot of paper and say, if you want the paper, we send you the PDF files. No, we have a strong partner who is doing the onlineification of data. And he and his team, Jaime Medrano in Madrid, he will produce 5 databases about figures, quantitative, and 1 database about qualitative results. So after the project is finished, every political science student or researcher can click online and see what is the link between volatility and trust, what is the link between turnout and trust. So we are thinking about our legacy. After 3 years, we don't go home and are forgotten, but after 3 years, whole generations of new scholars can use it, we can also use it ourselves, of course, for our research and our publications. We are producing 24 reports. They're about research, about analysis. But the important thing about our project is the combination between research, because our team are top researchers in the social sciences, but we want to bring the link between research and public policy. We want to have an impact. We want to influence European policy. And so this means we have to produce 6 policy briefs, policy working papers. We want to give the stakeholders, the politicians, some information at the later stage of the project. What can be done to improve the trust? What can be done to slow down the decline of trust? We hope to help the policymakers, the politicians, to improve and to change the picture of trust in European democracies. And we go very much into public policy. We are developing action plans. So like a cooking book, we say, if you want, try this to have a better situation. Doesn't mean that we will change the world, but we can do small things. And by this, increase the trust of the politicians in science, what we are doing, and we can help them, hopefully, to increase the trust in these 12 societies. But we have 12 teams, but we are covering the whole of the European Union. So we do also research about those countries which are not part of the consortium. So we cover the whole of the European Union in our activities. We are planning around 40 academic publications, journal articles, books. So we have to deliver high-quality research also in terms of publication. Sorry. We are a combination of disciplines. Many of us are political scientists, some are from sociology, some are from psychology, some are from public administration and law. Who are our target groups? Our target groups are policymakers at the level of Europe and at the level of the countries. This can be politicians, this can be mandarins, civil servants at all levels. So we will interview stakeholders from civil society, social movements, but also from academia, students and citizens. What are our aims? We want to design research to collect evidence on the perception of trust in a range of European states. Sorry, I got a cold on the way here. We want to create a robust knowledge base, how trust is developing in terms of parties, parliaments, legal system, media system, etc. And we examine the role of new patterns of electoral behavior, the impact of socio-economic transformations, the erosion of old political cleavages, and the development of trust in terms of political systems, media systems, legal systems, and so on. We want to develop clusters of values which are foster democratic values and foster attitudes and improve the democratic systems. And finally, we want to develop a toolbox, a box of instruments, what can be done to improve the situation. So then in the ideal case, the politicians can look at the toolbox and say, I take tool A or tool B or tool C, etc. So as an example, we put together a map of confidence in the government, trust in government. We are collaborating with other research teams on trust. One is in Britain, at the University of Southampton. They have a program, TrustGov. There's a team in Australia working on trust in Australia. And there's a team at the OECD in Paris, which is also working on trust. So we have very strong partners who are covering America, Australia, UK, outside of Europe. The darker blue the country is, the higher is the level of trust in the government. You can see the classical Northern Europe high level of trust, and the more to the east and the more to the south you go, the level of trust in government is going down. This is the wave 7 of the World Survey which we are doing. Many of the teams here in Germany, in Romania, in Greece, have the team leaders from the World Survey also here as team leaders in this project. So this is one of our sister organization is the World Survey. And we will produce online basis where this data can be downloaded online immediately from the internet. Okay, so if you look at work packages, we have empirical tools, we have project reports, and we have exploitation. Thank you very much. So first of all, we have work package 1, indicators of long-term trends of political trust. This is a database which will indicate all these trust indicators like trust in government, trust in parliament, trust in media, trust in the legal system, etc. Then work package 8 is primary research. We are collecting empirical data. We do expert interviews with policymakers, about 150 expert interviews in all these countries. We're consulting with leaders, political leaders. We have focus groups with citizens, and we have an online survey of citizens in 6 European countries. So we're not only doing secondary research of existing data, we do also primary research. So what are now our main work packages regarding trust in Europe? The work package 2, and the leaders of this will talk later about this, what they are doing, what they are planning, etc. Number 2 is about voting in elections, which is very interesting for me, because for many years I was writing about voting elections, and now finally I can put it all together with the team from Italy and other countries. Then the work package 3 is about a transformation of socioeconomic nature, reshaping democracies. Work package 4 is about culture, trust and democracies. Work package 5 is about cleavages and political polarization. Work package 6 is about social media and political trust. This is dealing with things, how can Facebook and other social media erode trust or increase trust. So all these debates about Donald Trump and social media comes into this package in Europe, because we have also this phenomena in Europe. And finally, work package 7 is the environment, information, how to use media and trust. There we want to see which media people are using and how this is influencing the level of trust or mistrust. Then we have 3 packages which are about policy, exploitation, and dissemination. So number 9 is this toolbox, democratic innovations and policy toolkit. Number 10 is policy interventions, what can be done. And work package 11, dissemination and communication. So we are now part of work package 11 as we speak. This is the first part of this work package. So our project starts with the kickoff, inception. Then we are building the evidence. So we're looking at the evidence, putting it together, accumulating, comparing, clearing the data, because it has to be comparative data, it has to be high quality data. So this is the collection exercise. Then we have the synthesis. The synthesis is the combination of secondary research and primary research. Then we put the whole thing into one final research result. This is the first 1.5 years is research as we speak. Then we are creating the toolbox, what can be done, policy briefs, and then finally we start talking in places like this with politicians, journalists, stakeholders, what they think about it, what they think about our results, and how they respond to it, and if they're interested to use it. So we have the 3 years, and you can see some packages start early, some packages starting later. This is very carefully calibrated by our team, together with a co-investigator, Professor Norris from Harvard. So what are our methods? So we do desk research, sitting, reading books, journal articles, and databases. Then we do secondary quantitative data analysis and harmonization. So if we put together this data from the European Value Survey, World Value Survey, European Social Survey, VDEM in Gothenburg, we also have to harmonize it. We have to see which data are compatible, which data have to be adapted to our comparative need. So we are also harmonizers. Then we do a quantitative survey with a split sample experiment. This will be an online survey in France, in Greece, in Italy, in Poland, Romania, and Sweden. So this survey should fill the gaps, because not all research which was done is giving the whole picture. Professor Norris and Professor Welzel, who will speak later, they developed various convincing theories what has to be improved in terms of theory, has to be improved in terms of methodology, and this will then task of this part of the project. Then we're doing qualitative studies. We have 150 expert interviews with politicians, civil servants. Then we talk about civil society leaders. And we talk with them, these leading Europeans in culture, in politics, in media, about trust, how they see it, how they want to carry on in the future. Then we are doing quasi-natural experiments by checking social media engagement and see what is going on there and how these echo chambers are working and what can be done about this. Then another method is policy analysis, public policy analysis, in the additional thing of the life cycle of public policy. We are checking existing EU policies about trust. And then we say, okay, this is available, how to regulate of political participation and so on. And then we say which policies might be improved, which policies might be changed, adapted to the new situation. And in terms of methods, we are a whole introduction into social science methodology. We use also discourse analysis, content analysis, fact analysis, cluster analysis, regression, causal modeling, mapping, visualization. So if somebody is watching what we are doing, they can learn the top-level application of methodology in European social research. So what do we want to produce? What should be the legacy? First of all, we want to produce a robust and comprehensive knowledge base of trust in parties, parliaments, legal system, media, in all European member states and candidate states. We want to critically revise the theory of political trust, because there's a fear of trust. There are books by Somke and others about trust, but we want to revise this theory. We have leading theories in our team, like Professor Welzel from Germany, who is here, Professor Pieper Neuss from Harvard, who is part of the Austrian team. She's hijacked by the Austrians, like sometimes ice hockey players are hijacked and adapted to teams. Then we want to have new empirical evidence of the role of information environment, of electoral behavior, identities, cultural values and norms. And finally, we have this harmonized quantitative database on trust, electoral behavior, social identity and media use. We want to produce education materials for political education. So they are used, hopefully, for civic education on trust. We want to create a trust monitoring infrastructure. We want to create a European Observatory of Political Trust, which is carry on with our work after these 3 years. And we want to offer a comprehensive and transparent toolbox of democratic innovations regarding trust in politics. Then we have short policy briefs. Politicians don't read more than 2 or 5 pages. Policy briefs about the improvement of trust by short-term, mid-term, long-term policy intervention. And finally, we want to develop an audience-targeted communication strategy, how to promote these new policy measures and innovations. So what we want to impact? We want to develop a new paradigm of political trust and trust building. We want to support the revival of democratic governments and we want to have an impact in the area of national and European governments and economic sphere of institutions of the economy, national banks, etc. And we want to have a greater engagement of citizens and civil society. So you can hear it's very ambitious. We don't know if we can deliver all of this, but this is our ambition. This is what we are aiming at. It might be that not all of these ambitions will be fulfilled for in 3 years, and then we can always say further research is needed. We need another 6 years to carry on with this project. So you can see there is a sustainability. So outcomes are enhancement of the policy agendas in countries and the European Union, improvement of strategies and tools, advancement of scientific knowledge of trust, expansion of civil society engagement into such campaigns, raising awareness and engagement of citizens, improve the civic education, political education of young Europeans, and to increase the efficiency of media communication. In terms of communication, we have already lots of these things up and running. We have an email. If you have worries, don't write to me, write to the office, but you can also write to me, of course. Then we have a website, which is starting. As we are talking about social media, we have a presence on social media. We are on Facebook, we are on Twitter, we have electronic newsletter, we have podcasts, and we will have TRUEDEM panels at international conferences. So we will have a TRUEDEM panel at the ECPR General Conference this year in Prague. We'll have a panel at IPSA World Congress in Buenos Aires in Argentina, and we have TRUEDEM panels at the WEPOR Annual Conference in Salzburg, not so far away from here. We are building up the Observatory of Political Trust network, and we will have our own webinars and workshops. So just check the website and then you can see what is coming on. Of course, we are starting now, but today is the launch of this project. And also we'll have panel discussions with invited experts. We also will have 3 international advisory boards: the Scientific Advisory Board, Policy Advisory Board, and Legal Advisory Board. So some of you have already, from our team, have already proposed some names. So if you want to become a member of such a board, contact us, because we are interested in attract the biggest talent in this research in our international advisory boards. And we are combining our efforts with other teams, like the team in Southampton, the team in Australia, the team in Paris, OECD. So we are very well embedded. Okay, now I would like to invite the co-principal investigator of our project, Professor Pippa Norris, from the University of Harvard. She is online, and she is vice director of our project, and she is one of the 3 most cited political scientists in the world. So her age index is covering the work of 20 professors of political science in Europe. And she will address us now if she is available. Pippa, the floor is yours.
View of the project. And it's a real great opportunity to work with so many colleagues. Some of you I know well, some of you not so well. I just wanted briefly to say a little word at the beginning about the project, and in particular, why are we doing it now? Well, I think if you look at the world today, and Europe in particular, you can see there are major challenges to democracy going on, whether it's, for example, party volatility, as we've seen in the Netherlands with the recent provincial elections, and suddenly new parties come through. And of course, in other countries as well, we can see the rise of authoritarian populists. Or whether it's challenges in protest politics. When we look at France right now, which is being convulsed by mass protests, or Israel, for example, or whether we look at even worse symptoms of the decline of democracy, which of course are insurrections, violent insurrections, and of course not just in January the 6th, but also in Brazil. And we can see that there are real challenges to maintaining order when, in particular, populists challenge trust in the authorities, trust in parliaments, trust in other politicians, trust in the judges, trust in the media, and so on. So the conventional wisdom is that these symptoms of democratic decline or democratic regression are associated with trust. The big question for us, I think, are twofold. As Christian mentioned, number one is normative. And that's, I'm going to talk about a little bit later as well in the program. But essentially, is the challenge one about trust? Or can we actually stand this on its head and think about trustworthiness? The problem might not be that the public are not trusting the authorities. It may be that there's a greater incidence of problems in how far, for example, democracy delivers, or how far democracies are clean of corruption or scandals or other problems. Anybody watching British Westminster politics recently with Boris Johnson knows that there's a major challenge over Partygate in Britain, but again, this is hardly an isolated case. So is there a problem about trust or trustworthiness? And is there a problem about a lack of trust or also credulous citizens? And again, I'll talk about that later. So I think this project is very timely, and it will look at the conventional wisdom and hopefully think that some of it might be correct. Again, populism is very much at its heart about how people don't trust the authorities, but it doesn't necessarily mean that trust is on the decline everywhere. In fact, the pattern is really complex. And I think in particular, what we can do is we can build on the classics, which are there in the literature. And after all, if I go back just on the bookshelves, we have 70 years worth of studies, which go right back to the civic culture, Armand and Werber, which have looked at these issues and said trust is important for democracy. We had another major study in 1995 with 5 volumes from Oxford University Press. Hans-Dieter Klingemann, Dieter Fuchs edited this volume, which was a major attempt in Europe to review the state of the art on both democracy, but many other aspects of trust as well. And that was a landmark study, I think, at the time, widely cited. And then more recently, we've got other books which have also revised this. For example, in 2017, our colleagues Jacques Thomason and Caroline van Ham also looked at these issues and looked at whether there was a trust legitimacy crisis in Europe. And they came to an open question about this. They said the conventional wisdom says yes, the empirical evidence is far from clear-cut. So I hope that we'll build on these works and look at some of these issues and challenge it normatively, and then challenge some of the issues empirically. Our measures of trust in surveys aren't actually very good sometimes. We're missing major aspects of it. And so I think we can really provide an innovative overview, building on the shoulders of everybody else who's worked in the field, but really contributing through our cross-national network, through the data collection, and through our analysis and publications, as Christian said. So welcome to everybody. Thank you very much for having me on board, and I look forward to hearing everybody's presentations.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Pippa. Wonderful. Okay, so I will now introduce the team, and the team leaders will introduce themselves. I just show you the map. We have 12 European countries. Sweden, Bikuban, then we have Poland, Ukraine, Austria, Romania, Greece, Italy, France, Germany, Prague, and Slovenia. So I would like to have been already introduced, the co-director and co-director. By the way, Professor Norris will talk today at 1:30 online and give one of the 2 keynote speeches. The second one will be done by Professor Chris Wetzel, who is already here. So we have 2 keynote speakers today, one from Harvard and one from Lausanne University, from the Vice President of the World Health Survey, Professor Wetzel. Okay, the first team is Czech Republic. The team is online, hopefully. It's not so far away as Prague, but sometimes. Do we have a link with Prague? Ah, sorry. I beg your pardon. Sorry. Please. You can stand or sit, whatever you prefer.
Okay. I can stand. Hello, everyone. So my name is Haerpfer. I'm from the Czech Republic, from the Metropolitan University Prague. Unfortunately, our team leader could not come because he has some other commitments in the Czech Republic. Also, the other member teams are not here because of some duties they have to solve out in the Czech Republic. So I'm the only person from Prague here today for this session. I don't know what to say about us. More, we are responsible for Work Package 5, as it was mentioned, which is about new cleavages, about political polarization, about party politics. We have prepared some electronic database. We have to prepare, or we are responsible for preparing some methodological framework, and we should also prepare some paper, if I remember correctly. And to be honest, I don't know what to say more because I'm not prepared to.
Thank you very much. Yes, the Czech team is led by Professor Ladislav Čabada. He is Jean Monnet Chair at the Metropolitan University in Prague. He was the president of the Czech Political Science Association between 2006 and 2012, and president of the Central European Political Science Association from 12 to 18. And he is the project leader, and he has a very strong team. And we are leading the package number 5 about identity and emerging cleavages, implications for political polarization. Thank you very much. This was partner number 1. Now we have partner number 2. This is our partner from France. It's the Sciences Po Institute of Political Science at Grenoble Alpes University, CNIS in France. The team leader is Professor Frédéric Gontier. I've seen him already online, so I think he should be around and about. So the floor is yours, Professor Frédéric Gontier.
Thanks, Christian. Good morning, everybody. So as Christian mentioned, I'm the leader of Work Package 9. I'm also a political scientist, and my research interests span value systems and party systems, as well as quantitative research and survey methodology. I'm also involved as principal investigator in the implementation of the EVS and the ISSP in France. So it's a pleasure to be here today and to address the topic of democratic innovations, which is the subject matter of Work Package 9. My apologies for not being able to attend in person, which ironically has something to do with democratic innovation, since the French president is somewhat reluctant to launch a referendum on a contested pension reform. So, Christian, if you please could start the slideshow, I will simply provide some brief answers to the following questions. What are democratic innovations about? What are the aims and tasks of this work package? What are the deliverables, and who are the people in charge? So it should be the first slide, and I should see it on the screen, which is not the case. Yep, great. So democratic innovations are usually considered as a remedy for regenerating outdated representative democracies, as well as for increasing social and political trust. And the last 3 decades have witnessed a strong surge in popularity of innovations ranging from deliberative practices to direct democracies. And these innovations are designed to increase and deepen citizen participation in the political decision-making process. And they are labeled as innovations since they depart from the traditional elite-driven institutional designs. Next slide, please. scholars usually acknowledge that there is a high hybridity of practices. For instance, participatory and deliberative democracy do overlap in practice despite theoretical differences. And interestingly, one recent paper has examined real-world democratic innovations with one of the largest crowdsourcing platforms, and it found, this is the panel that you see on the right side of the slide, and it has found that clusters kind of match the normative categorization. Next slide, please, Christian. Yep. The topic of democratic innovations is a booming topic. A significant stream of research has investigated the so-called deliberative wave, and to such an extent that one of the largest databases spotted nearly 1,500 publications. And likewise, a number of extensive databases combining case studies are now available. The same goes with innovations related to direct democracy. What came as a pleasant surprise when we began to investigate this topic is that there is a large number of practitioners, non-government organizations, and networks involved in the field of democratic assistance, and they provide good practice principles and resources that could be of great interest. I am now turning to the core of the work package. Next slide, please, Christian. Yep. Work package 9 is all about evidence-informed policy making. As Christian mentioned earlier, we are committed to feed high-quality evidence into public interventions at all levels of government. And to achieve this goal, we have assigned ourselves 3 tasks. First, we intend to build on prior studies showing that democratic innovations enhance political trust at large, that is, support for core democratic values, satisfaction with government, confidence in institutions, as well as approval of incumbents. We also intend to make sense of the underlying mechanisms, beginning with the pivotal role of political efficacy, so as to take a more systematic approach and devise a broad conceptual and methodological framework of democratic innovations. And finally, we want to translate this scientific evidence into a catalog of knowledge-based policy recommendations. These 3 tasks will be carried out in the form of 3 deliverables: a state-of-the-art report on democratic innovations, a catalog of knowledge-based democratic innovations to enhance trust, last but not least, a set of audience-targeted recommendations to promote democratic innovations. And let me finish, next slide, please. Yes, by giving you an overview of the French team. It consists mainly of political scientists, Céline, Hélène, and myself, with an expertise in both political values and policymaking at the European level. The team is completed by Camille, who is a specialist in law of participatory democracy, and we have recruited an intern, Maël, who has been of great help with the scoping review. So the following slides display a list, or should display a list of key references. You will have a chance to hear more about it tomorrow, and that's pretty much it for this work package. Thanks.
Thank you. The next team is Leuphana University Lüneburg in Germany. The team leader is Professor Christian Welzel, who is here. Professor Welzel will give his keynote speak today at 2 o'clock in this room. Chris, the floor is yours. Please take one of the mics.
Thank you, Christian. Welcome. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm Christian Welzel. I'm a professor of political culture research at Leuphana University in Germany, also vice president of the World Values Survey. I will be responsible mostly for work package 4, which is dealing with the question of value change, cultural change, and how this is affecting different trust patterns and trends in the countries we are looking at, mostly from data of the World Values Survey, European Values Study, and also European Social Survey. The basic idea about which I will talk a little bit more in the afternoon is the premise is trust is not per se a good thing, as much as distrust is not per se a bad thing. So what we try to do in work package 4 is also to disentangle beneficial versus harmful components of trust versus distrust, and how they are influenced by social processes, and how this impacts on different political cultures, and which of those components of trust is beneficial for our democratic institutions, and which ones are more harmful, and also trying to provide a toolkit, and how can we measure that? How can we make this disentangling exercise? Short remark here on the side. We have a team of 2 in Germany, so I've just recruited my most talented PhD student, Lennart Brunkart. He will join the team very soon, and you might see him also at forthcoming appearances in Salzburg, Buenos Aires. He is an extremely talented young scholar, just finishing his PhD, and he's also very likable. He plays the drums in a band. And also we're working very closely with Bikupan, Bipuranen from the Swedish team on the work package 4. So much for now.
Thank you very much, Chris. Perfect. Now we move to Greece. Greece, the partner in Greece is the University of Peloponnese. Professor Socrates Koniodos, a good friend of mine since many years, is the leader. Socrates, the floor is yours.
Hello. Yes. Can we switch to the next, please? Yes. Okay. We are responsible for work package 3 that relates to 3 phenomena, the COVID pandemic, the migration crisis and not crisis, and last is the ongoing process of digitalization. Now, our team members are Nicholas Demergis, who is a political scientist mostly, Kostas Kanelopoulos, who is here, who is also a political scientist, myself, I'm a sociologist, Dimitris Sotiropoulos, who is a political scientist and political sociologist, and Angeliki Ifadi, who is a social statistician. Hopefully she will save us. She has already done so to a significant extent. What we have to do is to take up these 3 processes or crises or phenomena and see how they impact on political trust and attitudes and so on. We would need the assistance of other members of the consortium, the TRUEDEM consortium, to feed in with information. And we have to deliver 5 deliverables, actually. The 3 first are reports on each of these processes. And then the 4th has to do with collecting data on how national parliaments and debates in them relate to these phenomena, to each of these phenomena. And the 5th one is bringing everything together to see in what sense there is an impact. Obviously, one of the problems here is that when extraordinary phenomena take place, like the COVID pandemic, governments have to take action. And this might lead to a sort of commandism, as the term has it, used by Mao in China, but also used by other social scientists in more recent years. And this might erode trust to governments to a significant extent. It's a bit different, the situation with digitalization. This is also the case, I think, to some extent with migration. And of course, ways to counter these attempts of governments to respond fast to emerging crises is to consider how civil society or how independent authorities that offer expertise may cope with this situation. So there might be a way out, but of course we need to consider this in our research. Okay, a way out towards entrust people and governments. Okay, that's all. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Socrates. Now we move from Greece to Italy, the University of Salerno. Professor Domenico Maddaloni is here.
Thank you.
Please, the floor is yours, Professor.
Yes, well, our team is based at the University of Salerno, which is located in the southern part of Italy. We are 4 people. I am Domenico Maddaloni. The team includes also Felice Addeo, professor of sociology, Domenico Fruncillo, professor of political sociology, but the most talented among us, Angela Deli Paoli, is not, fortunately, is not with us, but I hopefully think that we are following us via Zoom. Well, during the course of our research project, our team will be supplemented also by 2 junior researchers. Our main duty is to coordinate the activities that relate to work package number 2, which is aimed at better understanding of voting and electoral behavior in European countries. I have to say, first of all, that by European countries, we mean basically European Union member states. Okay? So this work package is aimed at this task, basically, but this more general task has been divided into 5 more specific issues. The first one, and perhaps the most important one, is the creation of a database on electoral turnout in Europe. At the end of the work, we will have produced perhaps a spreadsheet of 200 sheets, more or less, relating to European parliamentary elections and national parliamentary elections since 1979 for, say, Western European countries, and since 1990-1991 since Eastern European countries. This database will also include some information on electoral rules, because they are sometimes very important in the understanding on why the voter turnout is low or high. This is the first task, and it is strongly linked to other 2. Task number 2 is, well, a report. The deliverable is a report on voter turnout in Europe. We intend to use this database to analyze voter turnout, this phenomenon, at an overall, at the general level, at the European level, and both at national level, with the help of our team, of our friends from the other teams. And the third task, with the main contribution of our friends from Ukraine, is the creation of a set of infographics on voter turnout in Europe and its trends, to be distributed to a more general public in order to make this knowledge appreciable to the public opinion. The fourth task is a report, is linked to a report on electoral volatility in Europe, because all analysis on this phenomenon shows that there is an increase in electoral volatility. So our aim in this task is to understand better this phenomenon, also with the help of all the other teams. And finally, we will work on the interplay between voting and political trust, including some recommendations on policies aimed at increasing citizens' awareness and engagement, improving civic education, and developing new forms of political communication. Okay, thank you, that's all.
Thank you very much, Professor. This was Italy. Now we move from Italy to Poland. The Polish team is directed by Professor Agnieszka Turska-Kawa. And the floor is yours.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. My name is Agnieszka Turska-Kawa. I am the leader of Polish team, and I am the director of the Institute of Political Science at the University of Silesia in Katowice, south part of Poland. Let me say a few words about our team. It consists of 4 people. We are a very interdisciplinary team. It consists of political science researchers, psychologists, and economists. I work in political psychology. I graduated both psychology and political science, and I'm trying to connect these 2 fields, exploring psychological fundamentals of political engagement. Cornelia Batko is here with us. She's economist, works in health policy, but also she's taking care of something that we can say, that we can call public well-being, where trust and credibility are one of crucial variables. Elżbieta Turska, she's a psychologist, work in psychology of work and organization, especially she takes care of development, modern professional careers. And Dawid Tatarczyk, she will join us soon, and she's a strict political science researcher trying to connect 2 fields, religion and political engagement, which is very specific for our country. And regarding trust, let me say, just stress that we are the country with one of the lowest level of trust. Now, in among OECD countries, this is the 2nd lowest position of trust in government. And currently, in the perspective of national surveys, 4 in 5 respondent citizens believe that you have to be very careful in relations with others. So our government and policymakers really need this project, and we are very honored that we are here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Agnieszka Turska-Kawa from University of Silesia in Katowice in Poland. Now we move to Romania, to the University of Bucharest. The Romanian team is directed by Professor Claudiu Tufis, who is also the principal investigator of the World Value Survey and European Value Survey in Romania. Claudio, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you, Christian. Hello, everyone. It's really a pleasure to be here, and I'm really glad that we get to actually start this project. A little bit about our team. We are a very small team. We are only 3 people. We're all here. So besides me, we also have Professor Luciana Ghica. She's also a political scientist. She's interested in international relations, and she's going to bring that contribution to our team. And we have our colleague and friend Bogdan Radu, also political scientist from University of Babeș-Bolyai in Cluj-Napoca. So we are here ready to start working. A little bit about myself. I'm a sociologist turned political scientist at some moment in time. And I'm mostly interested in political culture, methodological issues. We are going to deal with work package number 1, coming up with this database of indicators of trust. And in doing that, we're also going to work on elaborating 2 reports, one on methodological issues related to measuring trust and especially to harmonizing all of the data from various surveys. A second one is going to be an analysis of trends in trust in European Union member countries from 1980 to the present time. So that's going to be part of what we're doing. The most important part, and the one that is going to link us to pretty much all of the other work packages, so we're looking forward to work with each and every one of you, is the database, of course. In addition to that, we have 2 additional deliverables that might be a little bit different from the others in other work packages. So we have this idea of which started from our needs in Romania, but I'm pretty sure that it will be helpful for other countries as well. Developing a sort of open educational resources for civic education classes, especially in Central and Eastern European countries, we see that as a problem. There's not enough civic education being taught to students, to high schoolers, you know. So we are going to try and help bring our contribution to that. A second deliverable that we do have, and again it's going to be a little bit different, is this European Observatory of Political Trust. We believe that we work better as a community rather than as individuals, just each of us in our own individual you know, ivory towers. So we are going to try and develop this observatory. It will be part of the dissemination project, but also part of community building within the community of political scientists, sociologists, social scientists more generally that are interested in studying trust. So that's going to be what we are hoping to do in this project. And just if I'm following Poland, and Professor Turska-Kawa was mentioning that Poland has these really low levels of trust in OECD countries. Hopefully Romania will become a member of the OECD, and if that's going to happen, you're going to, you know, jump up in the ranks a little bit. We're going to come in behind you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Claudio Tufis from the University of Bucharest in Romania. We move on now to the hosts. We're very grateful to Professor Annette Villaghi. Please, the floor is yours.
Thanks. So I'm Aneta Villaghi from Comenius University in Bratislava, and our team is leading the work package number 6 that is dealing with the social media. And basically what we like to investigate is that social media could offer a lot of opportunities, but also some challenges to the democracy and democratic values. And we would like to look at this interplay between the two issues or topics, and then what could be, or what political trust could play, or if it could play some intermediate role in this. And speaking about the research team, we are a few of us from Comenius University. I'm glad that my team consists of those people. And I have Pavel Babos, who is a sociologist and political scientist by education. He has expertise in quantitative methodology and statistical modeling and experimental study. This is our research design. This is crucial because we are going to study or investigate these links through the experimental design. And then we have also in the team my colleague Branislav Dolny, who is political scientist by education. In his research, he focused on democracy, quality of democracy, democratic theory. So this is also the value, added value to our research team. And last but not least, from our research team who is present here is Max Steuer, and he will add additional value with his expertise in legal studies, because he is, beside political scientist, he also do legal studies. And I could not forget Lea Daňková, our colleague who is cultural anthropologist by education, but she will help us with the communication and PR. She will be our communication officer, and I'm really glad that we can actually work with you in this project.
Thank you very much, Professor Annette Villaghi, and for hosting this wonderful kickoff conference. We move on to Slovenia, University of Ljubljana. Professor Alenka Krasovec is chair of policy analysis and public administration in Ljubljana. The floor is yours.
Yes. Hello. Thank you for an opportunity to present us, at least shortly, on this occasion. Yes, Slovenian team is coming. Slovenian team is coming from the University of Ljubljana. 4 researchers are included in this team. My colleagues, Meta Novak and Anja Kolak, they are both here with us. Meta Novak is a professor of policy analysis and also an expert for interest groups and civil society organizations. Anja Kolak is a PhD student, a researcher in our team, and she's an expert for qualitative and quantitative researches. Our colleague Damian Laich, unfortunately, he was not able to join us today, but he's going to join us at some later stages. Professor Laich is a professor of policy analysis, an expert for EU policies, but he also works a lot on democracy studies. I'm Alenka Krašovec, professor of political science, mostly dealing with political institutions, elections, parties, and questions over democracy. Slovenian team is going to coordinate work package number 10. This is, according to Christian and according to our division of labor, more policy-orientated work package. Definitely partners within this work package will build heavily on data and results of other work packages, but within this work package we are also going to produce some more qualitative orientated data. All this will help us to prepare multi-level policy action plan. This action plan is going to be focused on local, national and EU levels. And of course, when we talk about EU policy plans, we also have to distinguish between short-term, mid-term and long-term plans. So this is our task. So not only the task of the Slovenian team, but all the partners within work package 10. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Alenka. Now we are moving to Sweden. The National Director of Sweden is Professor P. Puranen. She is also Secretary General of the World Wealth Survey and leading expert in this field. P., the floor is yours.
Thank you, Christian. Hello, everyone. I really look forward to working together with you in this project. As Christian mentioned, I've been working with the World Value Survey for many, many years. The platform now for our work here is, together with Professor Welzel, to deliver, feed into the different work packages. We have a research colleague who is field work responsible, and we have mainly during the last 10 years worked with migrants and how values change, and that fits into Chris's work package 4, where we study changes of values vis-à-vis trust and democracy. And the input we can deliver is something like almost 12,000 interviews with non-European migrants. And they're very special situation when it comes to value and value changes. So that's the part that BQ-PAN will provide for the deliveries. For example, Socrates into your work package and others, hopefully. But mainly it will be in work package 4 with Professor Welzel and his team. One could also say that we have been studying the value changes as such, not only connected to the migrants, but also to the differences of different countries, since the Nordic countries. So we will also focus on not just Sweden, but the Nordic countries, and the special situation when it comes to the emancipative values and how strong they develop, which is what Professor Welzel also has built a fantastic system empirically to be tested within this project. So it's not only the migrants, but also how come that we have this situation in the Nordic countries as compared with other parts of Europe. That comparative perspective will also be a part of what we will do. Looking forward working together with you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, B. Professor Puranen from Sweden. She's also the director of the hub for the World Survey for Scandinavia. So she will include Norway, Denmark, etc. in her research in our project. Now we move on to the next team. The next team is from Karasin Kharkov University in Ukraine. The leader is Dr. Ina Kuzina. we're very happy that she, despite the war, she managed yesterday to go by train from Kharkiv to Bratislava. So this shows the resilience of social scientists also in Ukraine. Irina, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. Well, I'm happy to be there. I'm Irina Kuzina, leader of the Ukrainian team. Our team is based in Karazin, Haerpfer National University, and our team consists of 5 people. 4 of them are sociologists, Alexander Kizilov, Igor Danilenko, and Alexandra Petchenko, and myself. And one of our team, Yulia Bidenko, she's political scientist. Well, for me, this topic of political trust is really close because I wrote my PhD paper just about political trust in Ukraine. It's a brief description of our team. And if speaking about our university, we are in Kharkiv. It's 40 kilometers from the Russian border. And on this a little bit sad picture on the slide, you can see that is one of our faculties of our university. It was, strongly damaged 1 year ago after this full-scale Russian invasion in Ukraine. But, you know, the irony is that the war increased political trust in our country. Well, how it happened? Because right now Ukrainian society is gathered together, united by this external enemy, and you know, the interesting thing that, for example, when measuring trust in President and Vladimir Zelensky, when we did it in January 2022, only 14% completely trusted our president. And last month, according to the data, the number is 59%. So we can see just the huge increase of trust in the president. The higher level of trust only to army, well, it's right now it's even 82%. Well, so situation, well, so strange a little bit. But our population not only support regime, support this activity, military activity, also civic society is very strong in Ukraine right now. Lots of volunteers working, supporting IDPs and other vulnerable groups. Also, ordinary people, they just donate money for the army. Well, it's natural practice for us right now. So you see, like, a small conclusion that war played a great role in increasing political trust. But frankly speaking, I would never recommend this tool to any country. Well, how to increase political trust. Okay, so probably that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Kuzina. Thank you for coming. It's wonderful to have this team also in Ukraine. I'm visiting professor there, and the office of the institute where I was visiting was destroyed, so it's absolutely revolting. Okay. Now we have questions, Q&A, questions and answers. The floor is open to the audience. There will be a microphone. If you ask a question, please give your name and your institution affiliation, because we have some recording and we want to know who asked which question for our documentation for the European Commission. Professor? Yeah? So who is moderating? I think Professor Lenkas, you are moderating, so you have to indicate to her that you want to speak.
Okay, so I'm going to moderate. So whoever has a question, please just raise your hand and we can follow you the mic.
Professor Welzel?
One thing that came to my mind is the question how much the selection of countries for the surveys is set in stone, depending on the funding and so on. Because I was talking with Skinia also, when we do surveys partly on online mode, we might be able to fund more countries than just the 6 or 7 that were selected. And I was a little bit, I mean, I'm coming from Germany. It's not the smallest country by population size in Europe. So I'm not suggesting to deselect any of the ones that are in, but maybe we can enhance a little bit.
Thank you, Chris. If I may answer this, want to answer, Ksenia? We can talk tomorrow. But the thing is, this is what we promised to the European Commission. Now is the first meeting today and tomorrow, especially the working meeting. And tomorrow we can discuss how we, because this was 1 year ago, we created this work plan. Things have changed in the meantime. And tomorrow, also today in the afternoon, we have time to sit down and talk about our method. Because this was the plan which was created in 4 months before April last year, and things are not set in stone because we now know the budget, we know our costs, but this is open for discussion, and there's nothing in writing which cannot be changed. Thank you, Chris.
Are there any more questions, comments?
I think we gave you all the answers. There's almost nothing left to question. There's an overwhelming tsunami of information.
Everybody's ready for coffee, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so just brief information on coffee break. We break for 15 minutes, I think. And the coffee is served just outside from this room. If you could be so kind, please take your coffee in the vestibule or in atrium, because in this room the drinks are prohibited.
So thank you very much, and enjoy the coffee and come back in 15 minutes. Thank you.